and welcome to my YouTube video. In this video I'm going to be doing some more exploring of Ann Budd's book. This is her book. It's called The Knitter's Handy Book of Top-Down Sweaters. She has given me her permission to use this book in my video, as well as Interweave Knits has also given me permission. So what we're going to talk about in this video is actually casting on and working the first few rows so that you can get your raglan increases in place. So I'm going to be working the 36-inch size bust. I chose a small one so I have fewer stitches so we can get through this faster at a 5 stitches per inch. So if we follow down here with the yoke, it says with a circular needle cast on, and we go down to 44 stitches. I have cast on my 44 stitches. Then she says, do not join, rows begin at center front. Set up row. With wrong side facing, purl one row and at the same time place markers after one stitch to denote the right front. So we're going to put, I have my markers here, and I'm going to go ahead and just put them on here before I work the row, because I'm going to also add a cable into the back. So she says place a marker after for the first stitch to denote the right front. So I'm putting a marker. We've got the purl side row here facing us. I'm putting a marker here, and then she says then place an additional marker after the following stitches to denote the right sleeve. We follow down to the 5 stitches per inch, and she says 6 after 6. So 2, 4, 6. I'm going to place another marker here. Oops, it helps if you put it between the stitches and not through the stitches. Then we turn the page, and she goes on to say, then place an additional marker after the following number of stitches to denote the back. We go down to 5 and it says 30. So I've got another marker here. Let me get my markers out. Okay, and we're going to count 30 stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. Right here. And then place an additional marker after the following number of stitches to denote the left sleeve. 6. 2, 4, 6, and that leaves us 1 stitch for the left front. So we have 1 stitch for the right front, 6 stitches for the sleeve, 30 stitches for the back, 6 stitches for this sleeve, and 1 stitch for the left front. Now I'm going to be using this cable, which is from the knit along that this is associated with. It's called It Takes a Guild. It's a pattern I have on Ravelry, and I'll put a link down to the pattern in the description. This particular cable is 28 stitches wide, but as I've described in previous videos and in the knit along, because cables pull fabric in, we need to add additional stitches to the cable after it's cast on. So we're only going to cast on part of the stitches. These places that have gray boxes, there are no stitches. So for the 28 stitch wide cable, we're only going to, we have a cast on of 22 stitches. And I want to center this cable to the center back of my garment. So for the 22 stitches, half of that is 11. So I know after the 11th stitch, it's the middle of the cable. And we want to put that in the middle of our back, and this is 30 stitches wide. So we know after 15, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 is the middle of the back. This is my middle back, and I'm not going to close it. So there's 15 stitches here and 11 for the middle here. So that means after we finish the sleeve and we'll work 4 stitches, there'll be 11 left. That we're going to start our cable. So I'm just going to move this marker over to after the 4 stitches, because that tells me where I need to work row 1. This is row 1 on the chart, row 1, because the 1 is on the left side. That means it's a wrong side row. and you follow the chart from this side to this side, we're knitting a wrong side row. So we'll be working from here over, but we're doing a wrong side row. And this confuses some people because we're working this way on our needle, but we're reading the chart this way for row 1. So I'm going to go ahead and do row 1, and we'll start that chart. You can also follow along in this knit along. We have quite a conversation going on in my group on Ravelry. It's called Knitting with Suzanne Bryan. And you can jump in there if you want to learn more about this knit along. So we purl that first stitch, slip the marker, and we're going to purl the 6 shoulder stitches, sleeve stitches. Then we slip the marker. Now we've got 4 back stitches to work before we start the cable. So we'll just purl those 4 back stitches. We're going to slip the marker. Now we're going to be reading this cable from this side over. So we've got 2 purls on, if you were looking at the right side of this fabric, it says 2 purls. So we know on this side we make 2 knits, and then this symbol designates a purl front and back. So we're going to purl front and back. Then we're going to make 2 more knits, then we're going to make another purl front and back. Here's our second purl front and back right here. So that's purl into the front of the stitch, and don't remove it from the left needle, then purl into the back, which means you come up on the back. And then we're going to knit 4. And then we've got another purl front and back followed by a purl front and back, so 2 in a row. Purl front and back, purl front and back, and then we've followed that by 4 knits, a purl front and back. Whoops, those should have been knits. I was purling. Knit, purl front and back, knit 2, our last purl front and back, and knit 2. Now we should have 4 stitches remaining, and we'll see if we got it right. Yes, there's 4 stitches remaining, and so those are going to be purls. And then I slip the marker, and I'm going to purl the 6 sleeve stitches. Slip the marker, and purl 1. Now I'm going to turn my work. Now we're going to look back in the book. It says here, shape neck and shoulders. Choose crew neck below or V-neck, see page 80. We're doing the V-neck, so we're going to switch over to page 80. Here we are at the beginning of this first row, and we're going to follow the directions here for doing the increase round, which we just discussed. So it tells us down here, we go down to our size. I'm 36 at 5 stitches. There's no directions here, so we go straight down to here. Then increase 8 stitches every second row, i.e. every right side row, the following number of times. It says 22. So that means on the first row we're going to work to the first marker, increase, slip marker, increase, work to the next marker, increase, slip marker, increase, work, and do our cable, to the next marker, increase, slip marker, increase, work to the next marker, increase, slip marker, increase, knit the last stitch. And then you're going to turn and just work purl back in pattern, no increases. So this increase is worked every second row. That means every right side row, and we're going to do it 22 times. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to choose a make one increase, and I'm going to have them lean to the right on the right side of the marker and lean to the left on the left side of the marker. You can choose whichever increase you want. So I'm just making my increase here. I'm making a make one right, and then I'm going to slip the marker and do a make one left. It's tight, it's okay. I work the 6 sleeve stitches. Then we're going to do a make one right again. Slip the marker. Do a make one left. And now we're going to work 4 stitches before we start our cable. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can put a marker here to designate the cable if you want. Here we're going to go back to our cable, and on the very first right side row, which is right here, we're going to purl 2, knit 2, and I'm reading across this way on row 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 4, and then we're going to make a 2/2 right cross. You can do this with a cable needle or without, whatever works for you. Then we're going to work purl 4, I know my hands are down in the corner of the screen, but I want you to see all of this as we're going. Knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. And then we would knit to the next marker, and I'm off by 1, but this is just a sample. Make one right, slip marker, make one left. Now you can choose whichever increases you want, and I have 7 different styles that I show you in the handout that go with this knit along. I'm just using an extraordinarily simple one here. This is not the one I'm using on my sweater. Make one right, slip marker, and make one left. Now for people who want to have a stitch between 2 stitches between their increases, not 1 but 2, you will have to, let me finish this one then I'll talk. Can't do it both at the same time. Okay, so now we've made 8 increases. We now have 2 stitches on each edge. We have 8 for the sleeves. We've increased by 2 across the back, 8 here and 2 here. For those who want to put 2 stitches between their increases for a decorative effect, you will need to cast on 2 extra stitches, and that is in the handout. I tell you how to do that, because we would have done our make one here, then knit 2 with the stitch marker being in the middle, another make one, and we would do that each of these increases, but it really only affects the first one, because when you only have one stitch on the edge, you can't make one and knit two. You can only make one and knit one. Now, moving right along, we got that started, and then we follow over here. It says, at the same time, beginning with the second right side row, we've done the first right side row, shape the V-neck by using the method of your choice again, and we're going to make an increase after that first stitch and before the last stitch every fourth row. That's every other right side row. And we're going to do that 3 times. And then it says, then increase 1 more stitch every center front, every right side row, another 11 times. For us, because we're going to be doing a shawl collar cardigan and we're going to have a 3-inch wide button band, we're going to remove 1 inch from each side of the front to accommodate the button band. So 1 inch in this case for me is 5 stitches. So the way I remove those 5 stitches is by only working 6 increases here instead of 11. I subtract 5 increases, and that will give me 5 fewer stitches. And then we follow along with all those increases until we get to 82, and it says pullover option, cardigan option. We want to follow the cardigan option, which is on page 85, and this is where we will be when we start the next segment of this sweater. I hope this answers some of your questions. I know a lot of people were having a hard time figuring out how to cast on and how to get the first rows going. So I think we've got that going here. Be sure to join my group on Ravelry, where we have lots of conversation about this sweater. Give me a thumbs up on my video if you like it. Share my videos with your friends and come back to watch some more. Take care and happy knitting.